Yeah, please.
Yay, we are live again on the portion. It is Friday the 20. Are we the 25th, Brenda? 25th?
Yes, the
How is it
25th.
Friday? How is it Friday every day? I can't even stand it. Oh my gosh, yes, I did get a haircut. Look at me, sassy pants.
Good morning, Missouri.
Yes, it gets better. If you can see up close, I got really sassy. Wait.
Wait for it.
Yeah, I had him like.
Do it again. The camera came onto me. Let me mute myself.
Can you see it? Hope you can see it. If not, whatever. Yeah, I had him shave this side. I was like a little sassy. I got a little sassy. You know, when you're like wanting to do something fun. Well, it's exciting. I want to jump right in because we got lots to do. Just so that you know that the after party today is going to be quick because and I will be leaving right away. I don't know if Brenda can only stay for a little while, but she's going to hang out with you guys. You can stay in there. We'll leave if you guys still want to keep chatting. But as you can imagine, there is a potluck. There is we have our conference, Brenda. We have a conference coming up on Sunday while she waits. Okay, can I just tell you, I was doing sound checks for most of yesterday for our speakers. I'm gonna start. Wait.
Don't start crying. Stop it. Stop. All right.
Okay, doing sound checks. And many of you don't know Miss Minister Juanita Weiss. This is going to be, she maybe is new to some of you. If you know her, say, I know her. She's out of Virginia. She's been her and her husband have a congregation there for like 30 years, like powerful, amazing woman. She was just doing her sound check and she's just kind of reading. How does this sound, Charlie? Miriam, but just when she started, I literally almost fell on the floor. Like I was like, you know, when you'd like shake inside and I start crying and I'm like, you read 3 sentences. Like, how is that even a thing? Yeah. I didn't even tell you that, Brenda.
No, you didn't even tell me that. That's exciting.
I mean, it was so good. It was so exciting. And I know you were talking about to Dr. Deb this morning or last night.
Yeah. All I'm going to say is that she just said that her mind was blown. That's all she said. It's just exciting. It's just exciting. We're all revved.
Everybody is revved up. And you know, it's interesting because Brenda, you were the one who's mentioned this, I think last week or Tuesday Talk or someplace about how the waiting, because, you know, we're talking about while she waits. It isn't about, we're talking about, first of all, this is from Tamara Russell. If you're listening, shout out to her, because she was like the one who really brought this around to me saying, you know, Charlie, I was saying when I brought it to the team and said, hey, I want to do something about this waiting period. We have this period that's between Shavuot and wait, am I on the right day? Yeah. And then we have then we have Sukkot, and we have this like place like there, and then you kind of, or even high holy days, there's like a lull. There's a thing that happens in the summertime where we're kind of like, okay, nothing's really happening and it's hot and there's stuff happening. So I kind of would love to do a conference about that. I don't really know what that means, but that's what I feel like the Holy One's laying on my heart. So ready, set, go. What should we name it? And Gail came in, and of course she's our namer. So she came in and named, and then Tamaris came in and said, you know, I just keep seeing the picture of the bride who has been proposed to, and she has received her covenant. And now she's waiting now for the marriage. Now she's waiting for the wedding, and that process of waiting for the wedding to happen. And I was like on the ground, like, oh my God, that's perfect. That's amazing. That's everything. And then Brenda, you said that you felt like it was like the horse in the for the racetrack. So you're talking about your mother like raising race horses, and you're saying it's kind of like when the horse is in the stall, and it's focused on the race. It sees the end. It sees what's it's got to do. It knows it's done this. It knows what's going to happen. There's so many different kinds of waiting, right? We think of waiting. I've always thought of it as this ugly thing, but it's this thing where you see it and you're like, let's go. Like you're ready for them to lift the gates. That's how I feel, Bren. I feel like that today. I have I'm trying to get all the things ready. I'm so excited. Things have gone smoothly, per se.
That's a relative term, smoothly.
Relative. You guys can, thank you for your prayers. They are working. Yes. They are working, because even the hiccups that have happened, the distractions that I've had, it's all been like, it's been amazing. And I'm just going to say registration closes today at 2:00 Eastern time. So that's 5:00 on the West Coast. We shut down for Shabbat. We're done. No, 5:00 Eastern, 2:00 Pacific. Okay, let's get this right. 5:00 Eastern time. I got to get my zones correct. So 5:00 Eastern Standard Time, we go down. We honor Shabbat. No more registrations. We'll be able to go through. It's going to I'm going to shut everything down. And then we're Shabbating, and then we'll see you then Sunday morning. It is a live conference. So we're not live streaming to Facebook. We're not doing that. It's just a lot of distraction to try to live stream it into 2 different places.
Yeah.
So this is just like when we did in the back in the olden days. You go and you sit in your seat and you watch a conference, and you get up and go to the bathroom, and you come back, and then you go to lunch, and you have an intermission, and you go back, and then you sing, and then that's what's going to happen. Okay.
And you have someone take notes for you when you have to go potty.
Exactly. Okay. And then at the end of the conference, there's a table in the back that has like, hey, do you want the videos from this conference? And you're like, yes, I want them. So that's exactly how it's going to be. Yeah. If you want to show up, you have to register so that you get the Zoom link so that you can come in and join us. It's all via Zoom. I'm just going to tell you, we have 9 speakers. So we have 5 sessions and then 2 breakout sessions, and you can pick which sessions you want to go to during those 2 breakout sessions. You can pick which place you want to go. Brenda's one of our breakout teachers. Misty, she's here today. She's one of our breakout teachers. Simi is one of our breakout teachers. Debbie Franick is one of our breakout teachers. I love it. You're going to get to meet some of our team and see what we get to do. Now, if you want to, you can't make it for the whole thing. You can also get the all access pass. That's the only way you can watch the videos. That's the only way you get the PowerPoints. That's the only way you get all the things, is if you get the all access pass. If you are a cafe member, remember, it's $19.99 a month. If you are a cafe member, you get that all access pass. It's yours. It's inside your library. It's already in there. You could sneak peek. I do have some things piling in there. So some of you who are overachievers, you can run in there and sneak peek.
If you want to know ahead of time.
Yeah.
No.
So Erica, yeah, it's not fair, she says, to make us choose. They're all going to be so good. So what's going to be great is all 4 sessions are going to be recorded. They will be on the access pass. So you will not miss anything. You can pick 2 to watch live and participate in, and you can watch the other 2 later. Brenda, we have such amazing teachers.
Oh, we do. I'm like starstruck. Can I say that? Is that okay to say?
I'm a little fangirling.
I am.
I talked to Dina. I was doing Dr. Dye. Dina, like we're friends now. Yeah. I was talking to Dr. Dye, and I was like doing her sound check yesterday. We were giggling and laughing, and she was like, I hope I'm not too deep for everybody, because she's a researcher. She's like the Halisa of the teachers that you'll see. We have funny ones. Of course, Deborah Flanagan will be on there. You'll laugh, you'll cry.
Oh yeah.
Tissues, have lots of pens for notes. Okay. And then I have to get done. And then when you register, please make sure that you check your emails, because you're going to be getting emails from Charlie at the Rooted Cafe. We did that. So hopefully you see it better than info at. You'll see it Charlie at. So you'll open it and say, oh, why is Charlie emailing me? And then you'll get those emails. One of those you're going to get, and you'll get text messages that are going to have your link to register, how to sign into Zoom. But in that, you're going to also see how to get into your dashboard, which is different than the all access pass. You have your conference dashboard, and when you click on it and you sign into it, you're going to get your notes. You can download your workbook and print it. It's like 75 pages. So run to like FedEx or Staples and have it done, because it's amazing. I mean, Tamara Russell did our workbook for us. Shout out to her again on that. It was amazing.
Let me show you.
Oh, she's going to get fancy. She's going to show you guys.
Look at this.
Yes.
Is this not beautiful?
Missy, did you get yours? I can see.
And then our speakers are in here.
Yeah, it's beautiful. Tons of notes. Yes. Go get yours.
Notes everywhere. You can there's notes, there's PowerPoints. I mean, not PowerPoints, but there's points. I mean, it's phenomenal, you guys. This is it.
Yeah.
Isn't that beautiful?
Pages. There's like even a couple. Oh, I laugh at me. I had to get artsy. I threw a couple of coloring pages in there, and then we got Allie put some journal prompts, So if you need to doodle, there's places to doodle while you listen. Sydney wanted doodling. So our team came together for this conference. I'm telling you, it's amazing. So we've got over 500 women registered, which is awesome considering it's summer and graduation week. And can I be done now? Are we done? Is there anything else? If you have questions,
info@therootedcafe.com.
Yeah. And I'm telling you, we are shutting down at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Your lack of preparation is not our emergency.
Blink,
Did I say that? That's what I used to tell my daughter. Your lack of preparation is not my emergency. So Sunday morning, we will have people on Facebook just monitoring if you do have questions to help you. You can always get a hold, and Sydney's going to be monitoring our email info at the Ruta Cafe on Sunday morning, just before we get started. So we do have people assigned to that. I am not available after 5 o'clock. Brenda's not available after 5 o'clock. Okay, we're good.
Yeah.
I feel like a mommy.
Yeah. We just want we just want to do the very best we can, but we also, having done this is our third one that we've done. We also know that we have to have a cutoff point.
Yeah, you have to have a cutoff point. Oh, speaking of, that's not even a good segue. I do have another announcement. Okay. Should we just announce it since we just decided today?
I don't know. What did we just, oh, I know what we decided.
You tell them. I did a lot of talking. Well, you tell them.
No, well, okay. So, so those of you that are in the cafe, you asked, we're responding. We're doing one Tuesday talk a month. We'll be in the evening to catch all of our ladies so that they can be live in the evenings, right? Okay, so that's going to start hopefully in July. You're right, Katie, we were thinking about you. So this morning, Charlie and I had a discussion and decided that one Friday, we can't do Friday night, guys, because that's Shabbat. But one Thursday evening a month, the third Thursday evening of the month, starting in July, right, Charlie? We're going to start it in July. We will be doing the portion live Thursday evening instead of Friday morning. Instead of the following day, we're going to do it Thursday evening. And the reason that we're doing that is because we want twofold. We want to make sure that our ladies that work during the day get to experience the live portion. Come on, this is so fun, especially the after party. This is so fun. And then the second thing is that will give Charlie and I one Friday a month that we are not committed. That will be one Friday a month where we can do something with our family, or
well, that was like the benefit. Like we didn't even think of that till we had it decided, and then we had decided everything, and then and Brenda's like, hey, and guess what? That means I'm like,
Deborah Flanagan, come on in.
Okay. Yeah. Can all of you guys notice that I look a little better this week because I have a new laptop? Because last week when my laptop started blowing up and was like smoking, it wasn't a few minutes later, I got a ding in our PayPal account and it said, go get a new laptop before the conference. And so I couldn't do it before Shabbat, which you can imagine that killed me. And so then I ran on Sunday. Like first I was like at Costco at the door going, open, 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 and went and got one. It was amazing. I mean, God is a great provider. Thank you. The person knows. I mean, I'm praying 100-fold return for that person.
100,000-fold.
Numbers 22:2 through 20. You guys get pens and papers, get tissues.
Get your tissues. This is a good one.
This is my favorite one.
Mine too.
She sent me that text this morning. This is my favorite one. And because when I was a kid, Brenda, I always heard the story. It was so fun. This is the one story that I could say the A word. Like, I was so excited because I could say the A word when I was little. And I'd be like, ooh, I could say that.
Everyone that has kids know what we're talking about.
Or if you're a big kid like me and you're still like, I can say the A word when I read this, because like King James Version, I don't think it calls it a burro, or a donkey. So
yeah, it doesn't.
It used the Old English.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah. Hey, this is, okay. So my favorite thing about the Torah portions is that we walk this out, whether we recognize it or not. We are walking it out. This is the cycle. This is the times of the Holy One. And he is teaching us through his word. He's giving us instructions on how to live our lives. This is not a history book that's telling us all the stuff that they did wrong and we can laugh at them and snicker at them and say, I'd never do that. This is actually how we see these examples. These are our grandparents. These are our great grandparents. These are the ones that have gone. These are the forerunners that have gone before us. They're the ones that walked this out first, and we get to follow their example. Meaning, if they did it well, we will follow that. And if they didn't do it well, then we will learn from their mistakes, right? Isn't that what you want our kids to do, is to learn from your mistakes, not to repeat every single thing that you've done wrong? And so that I love that about this, Charlie, and just the different I mean, this touches like every area of your life, beginning to end. It is not just about a donkey, and it is not just about um, Pinhas, stabbing the two that were in the tent. It's not just about those two things. It is so much about everything, how we make choices, how we decide, how we live with mistakes, how we learn to do better the next time. I mean, it's amazing, Charlie. This is deep. This is more than an hour's worth.
It is. Oh, I just messed up. There you are,
Did
Maddie.
you?
Hold on, I gotta add. There we go. Okay.
Oh, am I host
Well,
now
better.
again? Co-host? Okay.
I'm a mess. There we go.
You're good. You're doing
Yay.
good. And your
Brenda,
camera
we're gonna
looks
poke
fantastic.
you. Get ready, because you're gonna get poked. You're gonna get poked.
You're totally gonna get
Your
poked.
foot probably might get broken, you know, and it might get pushed against a wall. It's okay though, because you know what I found in this, even though the title of this is the destroyer, right? Balak, the destroyer, whatever. It's not, it's really about his grace and sovereignty. Like, how is that like the theme of every single parsha? His sovereignty.
Because that's what he's saying to us right now. He's calling forth his bride to arise and to come forth into newness of life. And he's telling us this in every portion, and he's calling us forward, and he's challenging us with his goodness.
Yes.
He's challenging us.
Mm-hmm.
I love it.
And he's like, I mean, even this week I had a couple incidences happen, and he was like, I'm like, Father, how do I respond to that? How do I do that? And in all I keep hearing back from him is, I'm sovereign. And I'm like, okay, well, I get that. He's like, well, then you need to remind them. If they're having an issue, you need to remind them that I am sovereign. If I wanted it to happen, it would have happened. If it didn't happen, it's because I didn't want it to happen. And that's from A to Z. Including my daughter yesterday saying, hey, they're on their way home from vacation. They're driving back from Arizona, and they were stuck in Texas. They were stuck for 2 hours on the highway. And she was like, yeah, they closed the highway down. And my first response, which was not what I would have said before, my first response was, oh, praise God that you were not in the accident. Because that's his sovereignty. His sovereignty wasn't his sovereignty. We either can look at the fact that we're stuck on the freeway for 2 hours, or we look at the sovereignty of he spared my family. He spared my family from an accident.
Yes.
And so they were held. Couldn't have been too far ahead of them for them to have been stuck. So just his sovereignty. The other thing is just starting this out with him is, I think I was listening to the first part. I didn't get to finish Halisa's teaching, but I was listening, and it really kind of hit me. Nowadays, we hear a lot of people saying in the comments saying, well, I'm not really religious, I'm spiritual. And that's really kind of who we are seeing here with our little Balaam, is that he's not really religious, but he's spiritual.
Very spiritual.
He dabbles, he's likes to embrace all things. And so he was obviously accepted by a lot of people. And I wrote that, and it's like, sometimes do we find ourselves playing with two sides? We have to be really careful and be careful of playing with both sides. Like, yeah, right. Do you see that, Bren?
Oh, absolutely. This reading through the Torah portion of Balak, and Charlie already told you what it's Numbers 22 2 through 25 9. Reading through this time, I really got a different perspective. Like, some things just became very, very clear to me that I think that I had wrestled with in years prior. And one of those was, I was feeling kind of bad for Bilaam, because, he was hearing from God. He was listening to God. He wasn't saying anything that God didn't tell him to say. And God got mad at him and told him that he could go, and then got mad at him. So I didn't understand that. I just really didn't, at least I don't remember ever like working through that. It's one of those mystery things.
I just kind of felt like he was, poor guy, I felt like he was the guy caught in the middle.
Yeah,
I kind of felt that before.
Right.
I read some stuff on this, and that basically the sages say there's a special place in hell for him. I mean, and I'm not exaggerating.
Not even joking.
They're like, Yeah. So, I mean, I wrote some comments down too. I mean, we look at Peter talks about Balaam. I mean, I wrote down the verses. We'll get to them later, probably somewhere. I wrote my notes.
Second Peter somewhere, right?
Peter. Yeah.
Jude talks about it. And then
Jude 1:7, Jude includes him in the list of the worst of the worst. Jude does.
And Revelation.
Joshua refers to him as a diviner of magic, that he was a diviner of magic with signs, right?
Yes.
The other thing is, but isn't God's grace and mercy with him? Even still, though this is the case, we see his mercy through. Let's start in the beginning. We see his mercy when he gets on the donkey. He's like, okay, I'm going to saddle up my, not a horse. He wasn't going to war. He saddled up a donkey. A female donkey is all about a mission. I have a mission.
Yeah.
And that's what you need to get somewhere. And there's a mission. And that's what that would wreck. So God gets on his donkey and he takes off. And it says he's taking the princes of Moab, right? So let's start there. First of all, if he was such a great prophet, God is I just kept thinking of his grace and mercy, and he was really dealing with him and his pride, and he was trying to give him a way out, right? With every temptation, when people misquote that verse saying that God will not give you more than you can handle, the verse is he won't give you more temptation than you can handle, and that he will give you a way out. This is a hyperlink to that, right? Because he's trying to give him a way out. First of all, do you think if he had been such a great prophet and such a great diviner, wouldn't he have known that God had already told the children of Israel not to touch the Moabites? So he could have said, oh, no, don't worry. They're not going to come and touch you. Don't worry.
Right.
I have on good authority that they're just going to go past and they're going to cross over, because God commanded them already and said, nope, you're not to touch them. Wouldn't he have known that? I mean, he would have already known that if he was so great, right? So he was really trying to deal with his pride. And then he gives him 3 chances as well, right? He starts off, he gives him 3 chances. He says,
Charlie, I muted you. I'm sorry.
You're unmuted. I'm unmuted now.
Oh, thank you. I'm so sorry. I was letting somebody in. Sorry.
I did it. I thought you were getting me back for unpinning me. We have 3 chances. We see him. The angel appears to stop him, and he goes off to the side of the road. Then the priests of Midian are with him, right? We have these priests are coming along with him as well. Then they go into these the walls, right? They go into the narrow straits. They go in between 2 walls. He crushes his foot against a wall. Still, he doesn't get it. What happens? What does he do? I can't see. I have a scratchy glass. Instead of stopping and saying, wait a minute, something's not right. Like, this is too hard. I need to probably pray, or I need to seek the Father on this. Nope. He gets mad, starts beating his donkey, and
wants to kill his donkey.
Pulls out a sword. Okay. He goes against the armies of the Most High. He goes against Israel with his mouth.
Right.
But he wants a sword to kill a donkey.
Yeah.
So what kind of prophet are you if you can speak to armies and kill them and curse them, but you can't curse your donkey? Like, again,
right?
How powerful are you?
Right.
And then you read the story. Then the donkey lays down. He sees the angel. Brenda, please. How many times have I walked this out? I mean, you've had to walk it out with me.
You've had to walk it out with me. I'm telling you what.
Friends, how many times are you frustrated with everything? Are you offended all the time? Are you frustrated? Like, why isn't this working? Why do I have to wait in traffic? Why isn't this happening for me? It happens for everybody else. Why are they this? Why is this happening? I mean, from every,
really?
My dog is snoring behind me. Sorry.
It's okay.
All around. It's happening all around. And we're reacting instead of stopping and saying, Father, what are you trying to show me? Right. Is this a donkey thing? Are you just trying to show, is there something I can't see? Because remember that happened with Elisha. His servant couldn't see and he was freaking out. He couldn't see. And Elisha's like, whoa, wait a minute. Those that you see, the armies you see, oh my gosh, the armies around are greater than what you can see. And then God opens his eyes and he can see all the armies. What if we stopped and start saying, Father, would you open my eyes? Mm-hmm. Would you open my eyes? I did that this morning.
You did, with a great result.
You guys. So I went into this morning saying, Father, forgive me because I didn't feel like I was prepared to come in today. This is full disclosure. Hope Brenda studied. I'm going to juggle in the background while she talks. Father, would you just bless these ladies with something? What's something I haven't seen in here before? What's something I haven't seen? And Brenda, what popped off the pages to me were the three names. So he takes them, we get through the passages, and then he gets to where he's going, and then we say, Balak says, okay, here, I'm going to take you to some places. So he takes him to 3 different places. And I felt really impressed to go in and look up each one of those places, like the places that he took him. And you know what was really interesting to me? Let me go through. I wrote them down. Yeah. He takes him to each place, got higher and higher, right? You may have heard that before. And I'm like, okay, yeah, I get that. He starts out at a place that's not very high. And he says, and he in my heart, hyperlink really quick was, that's where the donkey started. He went off the road. He started in one place and went off the road. And it was like, is that the same thing? Okay. And then the second place he went to, I wrote the name down. It was I'm going to say it wrong. Pisgah, Mount Pisgah. And the root of that word in Hebrew is, so you guys can get nerdy tonight, is H6448. And it's the original is about being in the cleft between 2 places, right? But it's also a place it's a divided place. There's a whole lot in this, you guys. So every year you can get deeper, but so we go from and he showed me the donkey between the 2 places, the divided places, the donkey between the 2 places. And then the second place, the final place he takes him to is Peor. And the root of that is about opening of the mouth wide and a gaping mouth. And it was between 2 narrow, so the whole picture he showed me was that the opening, like when he got through at the end of these 2 stone places, he gets to the opening, and the angel, the donkey actually has to lay down at the opening. And he showed me he was taking Balaam through this process and showing him before he even took him to the mountain to show him. He was showing him those 3 places before he went to the mountain. I don't even know if I can explain that really well, but I was like, oh my gosh, that is so good. That is so good.
Yeah.
He took him through this whole process, Brenda. He was like, not about his grace. I mean, we can talk about how many times you guys do we have to have our legs broken like that lamb that keeps running around like a crazy lamb, and he has to break, he puts them around his neck and be like, stay right here till you know my voice, until you hear me. Sometimes he does that to us. Sometimes he's going to let the donkey break your foot. He's going to let the donkey squeeze you between some places. Sometimes we're thinking we're rebuking demons, and God's going, no, this is a donkey thing, and you're not listening.
Right. Exactly. And how often do we do that? Yeah.
Just too much, Brenda, too much.
Halisa was mentioning, I did take some notes. I don't know where they are, but anyway, I did take some. You guys can correct me if I'm wrong. All of you who've watched her portion this week. She was talking about how the first place that you were talking about, Charlie.
Yeah.
That they could oversee the tribe of Dan, and that's where that's where the tents were so beautiful. There was unity, right? And so it was like, well, we know that we are. Balaam knew that he couldn't. First of all, he knew because God told him, no, you're not going to. You're absolutely not going to curse these people. But overlooking that, there was unity. And this is what hit me with that. If Balaam came to my house and he opened the door to my home, would there be a place where curses could land? Is my home in unity? Am I in unity? Or is there complaining, contention, offense, bickering, complaining? Wait, did I say complaining?
Griping.
Because that's where
it's not fair.
It's not fair. Yeah. No, listen, this is where, how many times have we seen up until this point? How many times do we need to be reminded? Obviously, we need to keep being reminded, because the Holy One continues to bring this back up to us about the complaining, about the griping, about how dangerous it is. it's an uncovered vessel, right, Charlie?
Yes.
It's an uncovered vessel. So when I'm looking at the first place, and I'm seeing that Balaam is looking out, and he's seeing in the spirit, because God does give him a vision of what's going on, and he's seeing the beauty of brethren dwelling together. Oh, how lovely. Yes. And this is the prayer that's still being prayed today. Oh, how lovely when brothers dwell in unity together. Oh, how, look at the tents, the beautiful tents, and all of these people in lovely unity.
Yes.
That's what was seen. Okay, is that what we have in our tents? Because this is what I'm talking about, how the Holy One is bringing us into application of walking out Torah.
Right.
This is how you prevent fracturing.
Yes.
This is how you prevent woundings. This is how you prevent generations being left untaught.
Yes.
We have that power.
He wasn't looking at the leaders and saying, oh, look how big and strong they are. Because a lot of us, sometimes we're like, we look to the leaders and you're like, well, you're messing up and aren't you doing this right? And they saw the beauty in the tents of the tribes, of the people, of the community. And we talked about this briefly this morning, Brenda, is that, dealing with sorcery, we know that Balak was also dealt in sorcery.
He was a sorcerer. Yeah.
He was a sorcerer.
Yeah. A diviner of the dark arts.
Diviner of the dark arts, which means you deal with dead things.
Dead. Unclean. Yep.
Right. Not clean things. So when you're dealing with a bunch of dead stuff, you have to be careful, because it's not a coincidence that we just went through and talked about what happens when things die in your tent.
Right.
We just talked about this in the clay pots. What do you remember? I want to hear. I want some answers in here. On Facebook, you're watching replay. Hi, everyone. I want some answers. Type in what happened. What happened if someone died or if there was death in your tent? What would happen? Where did that happen? It was if it was a covered pot or an uncovered pot, what did you do? What was the difference?
Right. So you guys remember, when something's uncovered, it is open for uncleanness to go into it. So just think of it like this. If you had a dish of chicken and you left it on your stove and you went to bed, when you came back in the morning and that chicken's still sitting there uncovered, you know that flies are going to have landed on it. There's going to be unclean things in it, right? There's going to be things you can't even see going on in that chicken, right? So covering it, and think about this in the spiritual sense too. When it's covered, it's protected. But if you leave it uncovered, it's unprotected. When you turn around, you're not watching it. You're not guarding it. You're not keeping it. It's uncovered. And this is what's happening in our homes. And I don't mean to be harping on this, but in our homes, the Holy One has placed each and every one of us in a home, whatever that looks like, whatever that home means, whatever that looks like, whatever the dynamic of it is. We're in a home, wherever you are.
An office, a community.
Office, right, exactly, your workspace, whatever. And we have the opportunity to, with our mouth, speak forth life things, blessings, hope, restoration. Or we can speak forth cursing, which is death, and complaining and bickering and fussing and blah, 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 you add to the list. And this is what we have the opportunity to do. And in this portion, I mean, did you guys see this? In this portion, that this is what we are being taught.
Yes.
Oh my goodness.
And we're seeing it. We're seeing it when I was letting everyone kind of put some answers, when a pot wasn't covered and someone died and there was death in the home, they had to destroy the pots because the death would get inside the pot. So some of you guys, and I love that you just talked about shamaring. You talked about protecting, because that's what we're supposed to do. Are we guarding our hearts? Are we guarding our ears? Are we guarding our eyes? How are we guarding? How are we keeping the lids on our pots so that death doesn't come in? And another thing is, Are we bringing death to other people? I mean, Brenda, you and I talked about this. There's a difference when I call Brenda up. Now, here's me bringing death to Brenda. You are not going to, can't believe this person. Blah, blah, blah. You're not going to believe my husband. He just, blah, blah. I love Simi because she's like, is this going to help or is this going to hurt? Right. So if I'm coming and if it's not, and I'm bringing an issue that I have, I mean, we're supposed to bear each other's burdens. We're supposed to, we're supposed to do these things together, but there's a difference. If I'm coming without a heart of saying, I don't know what's going on here, I need to seek the Holy One on this. I have prayed. Sisters, don't send a text, don't send a message, don't send an email, don't send a phone call, don't pick up the phone before you go to the throne. And I mean phone, meaning your text, however you're picking it up.
Right. Communication.
Starting today, if I get a message from you, do not be surprised if I say, oh, what did the Holy One say when you took this to the throne? Because I hear offense. I don't hear shalom. If you're not coming in shalom saying, I don't feel stressed out about this, but there's a difference between fractured,
right,
and looking for something you're trying to solve, right? I mean, you guys got me, right? Mm-hmm. So if I'm bringing death to you, Brenda, and I'm just coming with a bunch of complaints, and I back up my truck and I just dump all over your front porch, and I'm like, thanks, and I walk away. I feel better now. I just unloaded because I was upset. I'm upset. So I feel like I needed to tell you. Yeah. And I just leave. Now you have all this trash, this death all around you. Now everything in your house has to be cleaned. You have to break everything in your house because there's death everywhere, because I just brought death to your home with no regard to what I was doing. Mm-hmm.
Right.
And I think you brought up, like Halisa said, you have to redecorate after that.
Yeah. Yeah. The furniture has to be cleaned and then put back in because it needs to be righteousness. So how are we doing? This is community living. How are we doing this? Mm-hmm. Are we being ones who are loving and speaking words of life and loving? Now, listen, that doesn't mean that there aren't going to be issues that need to be dealt with, but how we deal with them. I mean, we're being trained up here in the Torah how to deal with issues and how to make mistakes and how to fail and be okay. There's nothing wrong with failing, you guys. There's nothing wrong with doing it bad. There's nothing wrong with doing it wrong. The thing is, you pick yourself up, you turn back to the Holy One, you repent, you get back on the road and you go, I'm going to do it better next time. And you change. You turn around. It's called shuv. You turn around. You just do it. But it doesn't mean that we're not going to fail. We are. I've done it. Charlie and I have done it. We have a 25-year commitment of this whole thing of
we've done it all the wrong ways.
We've done it so many ways.
Here's what bringing life looks like now. I call Brenda now and I say, okay, here's an issue that I'm having. Now I've prayed and here's what I feel like the Holy One is saying to me.
Yeah.
I need a witness. Would you pray to fill me with love? Would you pray to lift my arms up? Yeah. Would you pray that I would bring life into this situation? That's what it looks like now.
Right.
That's what it looks different. It doesn't mean that I didn't have the emotions. It doesn't mean that I wasn't upset, but I don't dump all that onto someone else until I've gone to the Holy One about it. Mm-hmm. Well, we're just being girls. It's okay. We can just it's really hard, guys. We really can't, because it's a huge responsibility. I'm sorry, but to whom much is given, much is required.
Right. Exactly.
We've been called to live in this community. Are we the tents of Dan that are beautiful? Yeah. And then what happens is they go to the next place. See that, you just talked about Teshuvah. They didn't turn around. Balaam should have turned around.
Yeah. But he wasn't pursuing righteousness, guys. He was hearing the Holy One, but he was also listening to all kinds of other voices too. He wasn't discerning. He wasn't just making a mistake. He was intentionally doing this. Yes. And that's the difference. What I'm talking about with us is when we have unintentional, like we blow it, we make a mistake, pick yourself up, be a big girl.
Yes.
That's not the end of your life.
No.
You are going to make mistakes. I am going to make mistakes. Charlie is going to make mistakes. We're all going to make mistakes. Pick yourself up, turn around and get going and do it better next time.
Yes.
It's okay.
Absolutely.
That's what we do with our children. Right. We don't disown them because they make a mistake. They miss the potty. They pee-peed on the floor. We don't disown them.
No.
We're like, next time, point a little bit better. I mean, that's what we tell them.
That's what, oh, wait, isn't that the definition of sin, missing the mark?
Yeah.
Are we talking about pee-pee again? Is this happening again?
Pretty much a body fluid. Yeah.
I mean, we don't need to come after things with a sword. It's just like he was wanted to kill things. Are we coming out with a sword? Are we coming at things with love? I have just loving this now. I mean, Simi, you're going to watch this later. I hope you hear me. These are words that I now as a new filter. Is this going to help or is this going to hurt?
Right.
Is this going to bless or is this going to curse? Brenda, do you want to re-explain again the difference between blessing and cursing? What is, we think, we know blessing, we know that. Right. But like, what does a curse do?
Well, a curse minimizes. A curse puts down and shrinks. A blessing opens up a wide space. That's a blessing, is to open up a wide space. Cursing is to minimize, to shrink down, to lower, to bring tight quarters. So a curse is really binding somebody up. It's really confining, not allowing them to have the freedom to move into what they were created to do. That's a curse. And a blessing is the exact opposite. A blessing is opening things up so that there is a wide expanse and the ability to walk in the freedom of who you were created to be, what you were destined to accomplish. That's why when we're reading in the Torah and it's talking about, looking with your eye and you're looking into the wide spaces, that's the blessing of seeing it happen. Yes. So there is life and liberty and freedom in blessing. There is no freedom, no liberty. There's bondage, there's imprisonment, there's confinement, there's pushing down, there's confining. It's minimizing. And so when we do that to people with I want you to hear the words, when we do that to people with our mouth, when we minimize them, when we restrict them, when we take away a beautiful expanse and put them into a small little box and confine them, what are we doing? We're cursing them. And so that's what the Holy One is trying to teach us in all of this. This is the story behind the story. Okay.
Yes. And I think you can ask yourself, is this going to bless or is this going to hurt?
Yeah.
And am I coming in shalom? It doesn't mean I'm not upset, but do I have shalom, or am I operating out of my flesh? And if you listen to Gail, she does the teaching on the last teaching she did on the adoption and foster call that we had. And she talks about the parts of the brain. Simi loves this part. And, you have the lizard part of your brain, then the second part of your brain, and then you have your reasoning executive brain up here. Right. And what happens is when we get to a certain place, sometimes this flips up and it flips up. You have to watch the video because it's better when she does it. But this is done. And you could say you blow your top, you blow your lid. You can't, you're not operating in your executive. You're not operating in reasoning. You can't reason together. You're not in shalom. Mm-hmm. You're here because you're hurt. Most of us are here. We're hurt. Yeah. We're wounded. Yeah. We're coming from a place of old wounds. Especially if you start saying things like, I'm concerned this might be like how I used to have it. If you're looking back and you're bringing old wounds up, you're here. Very rarely are we in fight or flight with each other. It happens, but what happens is you're not reasoning. So if you're here, do not come to each other like this. You need to come to one another and reason together like this.
Yes. Yeah.
Shalom. I'm reasoning. This is, I've prayed. I've sought before I opened my mouth, before I went to my phone. Yeah. Went to the throne.
I love that in the chat. Someone says our children are listening. Yes, our children are listening to how we talk about other people. Yes. How we speak about them. If you have a friend that talks badly about other friends, you realize that friend is going to be talking badly about you. It's just not your turn at the moment. Exactly. And that's how that's what we have to be doing. And that's putting us all on the line. So this is, we're calling you out, sisters. Yeah, we're calling ourselves out.
And we call each other out.
Yes, we do.
We call each other out.
And we still love each other.
You know what? I want to go back to that. They didn't even have a reason, Brenda, to be worried because God had already told them to not touch them. Exactly. How many things are we freaking out about that we don't even have a reason to worry about? Right. Yeah. The other thing is, look at all this that was happening behind the scenes and the Israelites didn't even know it was happening. It was all happening behind the scenes. You know why?
All behind the
because
scenes.
You know what your heritage is? No weapon formed against you shall prosper. Oh, wait. And every tongue that rises against you will fail. Because why? That is your inheritance.
Yeah.
That's what's happening behind the scenes right now.
Right.
Of course.
Exactly.
Do you know how many people are talking bad about Brenda and I right now? Let me tell you, a lot. How many things are happening in the background that people are mad or offended or upset? A lot. How many people are, how is the enemy trying to war against things that they know we're about to go into a conference and things, but you know what happens? No weapon formed against us will prosper. We are surrounded on every side.
That's right.
We are surrounded. We have angels all around us. We have battling angels all around us. We know that he's already gone before us. We know there's a plan. We know the enemy is just trying to kill, steal, and destroy, but that's only, he's looking for weak people. We're not going to be weak, women. Keep your lids on.
That's right. I love that. Keep your lids on. Don't blow your lids. You need your lids.
You need your lids. We don't want you to crack, no cracked pot. We don't want you to have to bust your pots and clean house. No dead. We don't want dead things getting in your pot. So keep your lid on.
I love, Charlie, that you brought this up. This is all, okay. So when we come into this portion, it's all the stuff that's behind the scenes.
Yes.
Israel, the people that are down below that are dwelling in the tents have no idea probably that this is even going on. They don't know that the angel of the Lord confronted Balaam and his donkey. They don't know that that's going on. That is separate. This is a behind the scenes type of thing. And I think that's probably why you and I got such a heavy download about behavior during this Torah portion, which, by the way, we didn't talk about it until we were just getting on this morning. So, but we both got the same thing. It's just this download of this is how he's drawing us out and teaching us how to live in community, how to love each other, how to not complain, about how not to bring about a plague. Now, we know that the three things, Charlie, you had mentioned that earlier. The first one was the overlook of where the tents were, that high place. And the second one was Pisgah.
Hold on,
and however we say it. And then the third one was Peor is the third one. And the third one was about sexual immorality and death. And so what you mentioned about Ruth, because you were mentioning about the bloodlines, and this was all about destroying the bloodlines. This was about getting the young men all riled up into their beast mode, because they couldn't curse. They couldn't win with a sword. They knew that they couldn't win with a sword. They couldn't fight these people. They were too numerous, and God was protecting them. Balaam couldn't curse them, couldn't do that. But what did they end up being able to do? They ended up being able to put in ideas and thoughts, and Balaam took them aside and said, hey, you want to get in, this is how you're going to get into it.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, the sexual immorality just took off. They started entertaining, all this stuff happened. Plague breaks out, 24,000 die. I mean, come on, this is what was happening. But they couldn't do it the first way, they couldn't do it the second way, but this is what happens. So we just have to watch. We just have to watch out. We have to be aware. We have to be watchmen on the wall. Don't get called off the wall. Be a watchman on the wall. What's happening is there a lot of complaining going on in the home, or is there immorality that's going on? Now, look, I understand that we're all living with people. We can't control what other people are doing. You are in charge of you. What are you allowing to come out of your mouth? What is going on with you? How is the Holy One living through you to the people that are in your sphere?
Yes. I'm glad you brought that up. Because there's been seasons. I know you and I have both walked this out with our husbands, with other family members. They might be watching things we don't want to watch. We feel
sure.
And you know what we had to walk through? First of all, we had to walk through that. You shouldn't be watching that. Cursing, limiting.
Yep.
And then we went to the Holy One showed us how to walk it out differently in grace, in shalom. And guess what? They stopped doing it, because when you're quiet and you're meek and quiet spirit, guess what happens? Then they hear the Spirit telling them, because it's really
that anymore.
It's Nunya.
Right.
because you're doing some stuff that you shouldn't be doing too. So,
Right.
you know, you're just seeing his. I love, you were talking about the last place, Peor. The picture of it, the root of that was open mouth, open gaping mouth, like, oh,
Yep.
like that's the picture of that last one.
That
but
gasping.
Oh my gosh, the gasping.
Yeah.
The other thing I want to mention, because this is a big thing that happens in our in reading this King James through King James as we're growing up, we hear, and this is I'm sorry, I'm going to jump back before I really want to jump into Phineas. Anyway, I want to jump. Pinhas. I want to talk about, he says that God got mad. He was angry. Was he?
Yeah.
Was that what that really means? I mean, I really would love for you guys to get a picture whenever you see that word anger. I want you to see a different picture going forward. I want you to see the picture we've talked about before of the bull, nostrils flaring, the
blowing hot air.
It's that warning sign. It isn't, our God is not, has the same kind of anger. Like he doesn't do this.
He's not operating in his lizard brain.
He's not operating in his lizard brain. He's warning. It was a warning. Like when he says he got mad, he was trying to warn him. It was a warning, get back. And if you go through and read that, and when you see that he was, Gracie, she's really snoring loud.
That's okay.
We can't hear it. You see you want you to see him as saying, warning, warning, get back. Yep. It's like that warning, like no, you don't want to go this way. Mm-hmm. And I wrote down that anger, that word was aleph, pei, and sophit. I love, Anyway, that's what I wanted to say about that.
It's off. Yeah, it is. And it's really it's the hot air blowing out. It's that snort. It actually means nose. So that's what it, literally. And it's the hot air blowing out of the nose. It's that warning sign. It's that, okay, you're crossing a line, pay attention. The consequences, you may not like the consequences. This is my warning you. And the consequences were not lovely. 24,000 people were killed, maybe 24,002, not quite sure what the exact number was, but that's the consequences. And we have to remember that a lot of people get kind of confused between intentional sin and unintentional sin. Intentional rebellion is a little bit different than mistakes. So what was happening was not somebody just made a mistake. That's not what was happening here. These were not mistakes being made.
He had 3 opportunities to turn back. He had 3 opportunities. God said, okay, you want to go, I'll let you go, but you can only say what I tell you to say. And then then he realized his heart was all about the money, and and he tried to turn him back. And I mean, 3 times, 3 times he tried to turn him back. 3 times he had an issue with his donkey, and 3 times, 3 times he was able to bless the children of Israel instead of cursing them. So the people that are out there to try to limit you, guess what? No, all things are going to work for your good. So even when they come after you and they're trying to curse you and limit you and put you in a box, you start worship. Wouldn't it be cool if your instant response was you're going to worship? Because if you're worshiping, you realize that he's got something going on in the background that I just don't know about. Yeah,
exactly. Mm-hmm. So in all of this, there was a thought. I got distracted. Sorry. Happens.
I'm trying to read my notes really fast because I feel like I went all over them. Yeah.
I know. There was something about
I'm going to put the 2 Peter, you guys, if you want to write that down.
2
Peter 2, 14 and 16.
Okay. And Jude 1:11. Mm-hmm. Revelation 2:14. I think some of these things we will talk about next week, because they really get more into the whole Pinhas thing that happened. What was it that rose up within Pinhas? Was he just being angry? Did he do this out of anger? Did he
Mhm.
did he do that? Can I just say that in the midst of all of this, the trials that happen to us, what is the purpose of the trials that happen to us? What is the purpose of the hard things that happen to us, that rub us the wrong way, that hurt us, that wound us, that take us out for a while? What is the purpose of the trials? The purpose of the trials is for us to be able to come to know him, to be restored, to be redeemed. The
Mm.
purpose of trials is for us to grow and to learn. And that is a perfect segue into the conference that we're going to be doing, Charlie, because in the waiting, in the waiting is when we are trained up. It's when our muscles get strong. It is when we start doing all the things that are going to be preparing us for what's ahead. It is in that waiting that we are preparing.
Amen.
Trials are that way. That's exactly what happens. In the trials, we get taken out. We recognize where we are, and our response can be, Lisa said two things that just really hit me so hard. She said, trials are, the response to your trials needs to be humility and being loyal. So you jump back on, you get up, and you keep going forward. You don't let it take you out.
Amen.
Be humble, fall before God and say, I blew it. Gosh, I can't believe I said that again. And now, oh man, Father, show me how to move through this and bring life and healing in the midst
Yes.
of my mouth getting away with me again. And then being loyal to the call. Who are you? You are a daughter of the King. You are called to walk this walk. You are called to be an atmosphere changer. Everyone in
Oh,
your sphere of
I have
influence,
to write that.
this is who you are. You are called to bring about a change in what's happening in your atmosphere here. That is the spirit within you, moving through you, moving through you into the others in your area. That's what you're called to do. So you're going to make mistakes, and it's okay. You pick yourself back up and you let everybody see what you're doing. You're picking yourself back up. You're being a great example. You stay loyal to the calling of God of your life, in your life, and in the life of those around you. The ones that you hurt, make it up to them. Do it
Yeah.
better the next time.
Yep. Help them.
Fall on your sword.
Be like, hey, let
Don't
me help
try
you.
to
I brought death into your home.
let me
Help.
fix let
Let me
me take
fix
care of
it.
this.
Here's
Yeah.
some new pots. Here, let's
Yeah.
help
Here's some new
redecorate.
furniture.
Here's some new furniture. I
let
know
me
I brought death
let
to
me fix
you.
that lamp I just shattered.
Oh my gosh, right.
Yeah.
I'm sitting here praying because I don't want to say this. I'm just gonna be honest. I don't want to say this, so I'm gonna just say it. And I want you to pray when you hear this. If it's not for you, I want you to throw it in the trash. Don't take it up. Don't put on shoes that don't fit you.
Right. Don't wear a cloak that's not yours.
I want to say that there's some of you who've been praying for some things. You've been praying for friends, community. You've been praying maybe for a spouse. I'm hearing community a lot. That's what I'm hearing in my heart. There, you've been praying for community, and he is protecting you, and he's protecting them from you. So that you are able to be an atmosphere changer. But right now, there might be some things you still need to be healed from, because you will change the atmosphere in a wrong way. And you might be in a place right now where he needs to heal you outside the camp.
Yes.
So that you can, so that you bring life, and that you are the thing, your words help and not hurt, so that your wounds aren't what come before you, and everything isn't a filter through your wounds. That's all I'm just hearing. I just want to say it. I just put that out there.
Oh, that's so good.
It's not you. Don't be like, what? I've been lonely. I've been wanting a community. That can't be me. It probably is not. I believe that if it's something's for you, it'll resonate in your, it shouldn't offend you. It should resonate inside of you. If it offends you, read the Blade of Satan, because then you have offense is a snare, and it will take you down. This is not where offense lives. Offense does not live in a whole brain. Offense lives way down in here, in a place that's hurting.
Yeah.
That's it. That's all I want to say about that.
Wow. This is so beautiful, ladies. And in the end, the conclusion of our portion, and we'll get into it next week because it's going to be exciting, Pinhas next week. The whole thing is that something happened and something rose up. And it didn't come from Moses. Isn't that interesting? Yeah, it didn't come from Moses. It came from his grandson. Well, I mean, or whatever. You know, they say son in Hebrew, but it just means relative, so it could have been his grandson. I mean, it might be a grandson. And it came from him, but something rose up within him, and we don't find out what really rose up within him until we read the next parsha. And what rose up within him was he was zealous. He was zealous. That's a really good word, and I wrote it out. I wrote out Hebrew words for you guys today. We'll cover that next week.
We have time. Do you want to do it? We have 30 minutes.
We do?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, the word zealous is the word kana, and it is, for those of you that want to write it down. I didn't even write down where it's at, but it's in chapter 25. It's the next verse. It's like verse 11. Sorry, I can't read without my glasses on. Yeah, Phinehas, son of Eleazar, son of Aaron, the Cohen, has turned away my anger from Bnei Israel because he was very zealous for me. Two things: he turned away my anger, and he was very zealous. So what it does, this is next week's parsha, it's explaining what had just happened in this week's parsha at the very end. So what happened was, the Holy One was talking to Moses, verse 4 of chapter 25, and he says, seize all the ringleaders and hang them before Adonai facing the sun, so that Adonai's fierce anger may be turned away from Israel. So Moses said to the judges of Israel, each of you kill your men who have been joining themselves to Baal Peor. They made a covenant with the god Baal. They made a covenant. They were not staying loyal to their covenant to the Holy One. These are the children of Israel we're talking about. These are not foreigners. We're talking about the children of Israel. They were seduced away, and they made covenant, and they were not going to be allowed to continue. What was the whole purpose of this whole thing with Balak and Balaam? Well, what was the whole purpose of this? Was to destroy the generations. Their purpose was to destroy the generations of Bnei Israel, so that we would not have whole families, so that we would have fractured children, so that we would have fractured family members. We would have fractured fathers. We would have fathers that don't know how to parent. They went at this, was the whole purpose, was to destroy the generations. And the cursing didn't work, but this one thing, the immorality part of it, that came in. It was a choice that they made. It wasn't something that happened from the outside. It was what happened from the inside. And that was the big difference. And so it was after the children and the grandchildren and the generations to come, because who came from these generations were, I mean, think about it. Who came from all of this? Yeshua. He came from this was his clan. This was the clan. Ruth, Moabite, right?
So he's trying to bring division. He's trying to bring division and kill. People. Stay far away from them. I love my version in verse 25:3. It says, when Israel became bound to Baal of Peor.
Exactly.
They became bound. They were bowing down. They were eating and bowing down before their gods. I mean, they were doing, let's get back to food again.
Exactly. Mary Catherine, exactly. She said it's the same thing that's going on. It's exactly what's going on right now. It's the appetite. It's the appetite. It's the lusts of our appetites that get us into trouble. So that's what was happening here, and it was specifically to destroy the generations. So we understand, if we look at it from that perspective, guys, when we look at the things that are going on in our home, it helps us to be able to recognize what's happening. Zealousness is something that rises up from within. And remember that whenever we have in Hebrew, whenever we have an emotion that comes up, it can go either way. It's kind of like the Hebrew letters. There's always a like the letter mem. The letter mem is all about the water, the cleansing, the washing, the restoring, the renewing. That's what the letter mem is all about. But there's also another side to mem, which is chaos and destruction. Why? How can that be? How can one thing have two? Because it's just like with us. It's how we are responding to the Holy One. It's how we respond and how we react that's going to choose, either it's going to be chaos or it's going to be restoration, right? And it's the same thing here. In our homes, when we're seeing things out of control, and when we're praying for our family, when we're praying for our friends, we're praying for our neighbors, we're praying for our community, when we see things that are being out of control, praying for our nation, of course, hello, we're praying for these things and we're seeing them out of control. Oh my gosh, we start praying for the generations. Father, restore the generations, because if they can, if the enemy can destroy a daddy, and then the children get broken and fractured, that goes into, then their children are broken and fractured, then their children are broken and fractured. But what does the Holy One say? He's going to visit the sins and the iniquity. He's going to visit it 7 generations. What does that mean? He's going to come in there and he's going to make an opportunity for that to be healed,
Amen.
to be restored, to be renewed, to bring restoration to the generation over and over and over and over. And if it continues on into another generation, he'll come and visit that generation. He will not leave us alone. He will not leave our kids alone. But what if we are aware of this and we see the way of the enemy, and we are dealing with it up front, and we're not participating in the destruction? What about that? I don't know, Charlie. What do you think?
I mean, I'm seeing we can go down the trail of, oh, this world is so horrible. Yeah, you know what? Look at, I see Mary Catherine said something. Is it interesting? Or Linda said something. It's interesting that idolatry rides along with sexual immorality.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. I was sitting, I'm like, Father, how is that going back to the garden? It's like, we look at, the woman was supposed to be, her desire would be for her husband. And then of course that's going to get perverted so that there would be there's going to be some kind of, it's going to be, we see that we see how it used to be now I think it's men and women, because it used to just be, we'd see men or that we knew about, you see that men were pulled away with sexuality, whether it was pornography, with it was just, used to be just a little, getting a magazine and they were hiding it, the kids or young boys hiding it under the mattress. I mean, that's the way that they were getting, it's the way that we get in. That's the way that idolatry gets in, because once it gets there, then it opens the door up to everything else to come in, right? But now
you're feeding your flesh instead of feeding your spirit. Your focus is feeding your flesh, feeding your flesh, feeding your flesh.
Yes,
that's idolatry.
It's idolatry. And I see, I mean, now it's men and women. I mean, we are so desensitized to it now. We're like, what? It's not that big a deal. I mean, it's the minute they put the ratings on there where it said like TVMA. Now they can show anything on there. Now they're like, well, we warned you. We told you there was going to be nudity and sexuality in this. We told you. I mean, and you kept watching. We told you that was going to happen. And we're riding that wave right into that wave, that mem, right? That wave can take us into chaos, or it can take us into the living water. It can take us into the revelation. That's what we get to do and I promise you, ladies, I mean, it just hit me like, we have so much power in our homes. I mean, we tease and say we're biblical feminist because we have so much power. We have a way that we can, what if most of us have, like, if you came up with something, you came up and you put the same energy, instead of arguing and trying to keep things out of your home, what if you came up with creative, beautiful things to do in your home instead of, so your family didn't even think to do that because they were so busy doing the other things. Right. You're so focused on life-giving things and fun things that you can do in life-giving, and just praying, Father, I need the Ogai anointing, the Oholiab. I don't know how to come up with, instead of just let's all sit down and watch TV and then there's a fight over what we're going to watch. What if it's like, okay, we're going to do something fun. I got some fun food. We're going to do this fun thing. We're going to play games. I mean, it might take a little while. Your husband might be like, I don't want to do that. I'm not a game player. And then they watch you all having fun and doing it, and they end up coming in because you're showing life, and that's death. And they're going to end up picking life. Yeah. That's what we get to do with the hay. We're the Isha, the hay. We get to bring revelation. We get to bring life. We get to bring fun.
Share. Light. Yeah. Right. We are light givers, guys. We are light givers. That's what we do.
Brenda, I love what you said about the fracturing. I know that hit you really hard this morning.
It did. Yeah. And, this is the thing, guys. Every minute, every interaction that you have with every other person in your life, you may not have kids. It doesn't have to be kids. It can be anything. God will bring people into your sphere because you are a light bearer. You are made in his image. That is who you are. You have a destiny and a calling to walk out. So shed that light. Be a light giver. Kindness, give hope, give peace. Instead of having a conversation and complaining about everything that's going on in this world, how about if you give a conversation to somebody? I mean, this is a thought. Hopefulness, restoration. Talk to somebody, look in their eyes, find out what is going on in their life, speak life to them. You can actually do this. You don't have to have a pulpit. That is the pulpit. The pulpit is that you have been given this incredible warehouse of the majesty of God. And all you have to do is open your mouth and release life. That's what you get to do. You get to do that, you guys. Every one of you
Yes.
gets to be that person.
And it can be practical, Brenda. Like there's times when I'll be like, tell my husband, I don't have anything life-giving to say right now. So just give me a minute. I need
a
space.
timeout.
I need a timeout. That's what I say. I need a timeout. Because anything I say isn't going to help. And I love you. And it's not you against me. It's us against this problem.
Mm-hmm.
Do you guys hear me?
Yes.
It's not a you against them. It's you together against a problem.
Right.
Together, how many angels do you put to flight? Mm-hmm. And if you're doing, there's not this. You guys should be going like this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Together. Yeah. And it's okay to say, you know what? Right now, I'm not fit for human consumption and I have nothing life-giving to say.
It's okay to say that. I say that.
Or you may just do this.
Yeah.
Gail taught me that. Now we can just do this and we don't have to say a lot of things. We can just do this. And both of us now know.
Yeah.
Walk away. It's time to walk away. It's okay to be like, yeah. Oh, I love
that. That's so good. Go ahead, cute. Shirley.
Good. No, I'm reading over there too. You know what? I think it might've been Kathy, Merrick, or Katie, one of you. I can't remember who told me this, but we're again reminded of the story about, remember the dogs. Which dog are you feeding?
Right.
What dog are you guys feeding? Mm-hmm. Are you feeding the one that is are you feeding the dog that is whatever the strong dog wins, right? Wins the fight. Mm-hmm. So if you continue to feed with this, what happened to them, it won the fight. It ended up they ended up getting bound to another gods. They ended up, getting 24,000 whatever were dead because of the plague.
Right.
Or are you feeding the one that walks over into the promised land, that takes down the walls of Jericho?
That's right.
We're almost there, guys. Right. Yeah. We're almost there.
Yeah. Yeah, those high places were right there. They're right on the edge. They're right on the edge of going into the land. They are right there on the edge. And it's exciting. It's exciting. This whole finishing up the book of Numbers is cool. And then the book of Deuteronomy is like, you ever wanted to know a little bit about Moses? There you go.
Right?
This is his journal.
This is his journal.
Deuteronomy. It's so awesome.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
Balak. I wrote down Balak. The root is H1110.
Okay.
It's to make empty. You guys, it's the opposite of life-giving.
Yes, 100%.
God said to the people to be fruitful, multiply. He said, have life, have it more abundantly. And you have Balak saying, let's limit and curse. Let's be brought down.
Yeah.
Let's bring death. Minimize. Let's bring emptiness. Let's minimize.
Yeah.
And I think I think we stand before that still. We're told hyperlinks should be going off in your head. This day, blessings, cursings, life, death. Yes. What are you going to choose?
Right.
Are you going to choose when the donkey starts, when the things in your life start like shocking you and someone said something, or something didn't happen the way you thought it would, or you a quick offense? I feel like that donkey sometimes is our flesh, right? It's but it's also it's a whole nother thing. It's also I'm not going to go there, but it's an animal. We'll go there first. It's an animal in flesh. So it's when our flesh rises up and our flesh stops, when our flesh pushes us against and gets broken, then when our flesh lays down and when our flesh starts getting, can we see ourselves as that's that donkey telling us, stop, there's something you can't see.
Yeah. That's good, Charlie.
Can we do it? Can we realize that that's when the flags are going off? And it doesn't mean that we have to be so victorious over all of it, but it doesn't have to take us out for days. Could it take us out for hours? And it's okay to be like, you know what? Right now I'm being a donkey or a jack, you know what? I have to, I'm being that. And I realize it's pushing and I'm frustrated and I don't know what to do right now. I need a minute because and then I need to run to the throne. Father, I'm a hot mess. I feel the donkey swerving. It broke my leg. I'm hurting. My feelings are hurt. This didn't happen the way I thought it was supposed to. My kids did this. My husband did this. My friend did this. My community leader did this.
Boss did this.
My boss did this. Father, I have to submit it to you because I'm pulling my sword out. I'm not in shalom. Can you put me in a place of shalom? Because you died to bring me peace. You said that was what you gave me. That was a gift you gave me, was peace. And I'm not operating in that. So would you just give it to me so that I can walk through whatever's happening right now with that instead of taking on the beast?
Yeah.
Pulling out my sword. What if we did that?
Wow.
Doesn't mean we are perfect.
Doesn't mean we don't make mistakes.
We call our friend Brenda. I'm being a horse's booty. So my flesh is going crazy. Would you pray with me? Because I'm not in shalom and I've already gone to the throne. I've already prayed, but I need someone to partner with me because I'm a mess. So would you help me bear this? Help me. Pray with me right now. And I promise you guys, I promise you, your life will look so different.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's what community does. That's why we're so excited you're all here and you can contact each other. You can become friends. You can have someone with a like mind. You can partner with someone here. You can have a prayer partner here. That's what this is all about, is for us connecting one with another, and you guys connect with each other, and make this work for you. Especially those of you that are alone, especially those of you that don't have a community, that don't have, a fellowship that you go to every week. Connect with people. And that's our heart, isn't it, Charlie?
Oh, for sure. And I'm thinking, don't be the person that's like, well, no one talks to me. And maybe you're super introverted or shy.
That's okay. You can be introverted.
It's okay. But it's okay to put a thing and say, listen, I'm introverted and I'm shy.
Yeah.
I'm introverted and I'm shy. Would somebody help me? Would someone chat with me? Would someone pray with me? I need some friends. And those of you that are extroverted, then you jump on that. Or maybe you're also introverted and you go, oh, I need another friend who maybe is a little not so here and a little down here. Right. So this is good.
A little less energy, maybe.
there's over 1,400 of you. Find a friend.
Right.
Find friends. Reach out.
Yes, please reach out. Yeah, we love you so much, and our heart is so much that you will be embraced by this portion this week. That you will be embraced. Look behind the scenes. Look behind the standard. You guys all know these stories. That's why we didn't go verse by verse. You guys, you know these stories. You know what's going on here. What we really wanted to do was show you some practical applications of, let's figure out when we make mistakes, fall on our faces, return to him. Shuv, it's the other word for repent. It means to turn back, and let's do that. Let's pull up our big girl panties and move on. Let's not stay on the ground on our face for 3 days. Get yourself up, speak to yourself like David did. David was expert. He would have been what do they call those, Charlie, those people, influencers? David would have been, he would have been an influencer, because David's like this. Oh, my soul, why are you cast down? I mean, he was constantly like looking at himself and he's saying, why are you cast down?
Why are you a donkey?
Lift your arms and trust God. And don't you realize the majesty of him? And he was constantly talking self-talk. He was letting his soul know because he had those issues, you know?
Yes. Talk about positive affirmations. You have been affirmed.
Goodness.
You don't need to make up affirmations. You have already been affirmed by the word of God. So you can write those words all over and remind yourself of who you are and whose you are, right?
And if you think that you don't have the tools, you have the tools. The word of God is written in your DNA. You have everything that you need right now, right where you're at. Right where you're at is right where you're supposed to be. Right this minute, you are exactly in the spot. You are not too far away. You are not hidden. You are not left out. You are exactly where you need to be right this minute. And you have everything that you need. You have been equipped. He doesn't ask you to do something if he doesn't equip you to do it. So whatever he's asking you to do, you have been equipped. Do you need to learn? Do you need to grow? Do you need to train? Do you need to put your muscles to work? Absolutely. Do it. That's great. But you are not behind. You are exactly where you are in this moment where you need to be. Now, from there on out, what are you going to do with it?
Amen. Hey, Misty's going to hop in because if you don't know Misty Harbor, she's one of our team, one of our Torah coaches. She does our foundations class for us. She'll be one of our teachers on the breakout sessions for the conference on Sunday. Misty, did you unmute yourself?
I did now. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi.
Hi. I had something really cool I wanted to share with everybody.
Great.
I told you a little bit about it yesterday, Brenda.
Yes.
But I didn't get to tell you the conclusion. So
I was praying for you last night. So I hope.
I'm so glad. It's so exciting. Okay. So I'm looking for a house to live in, because I have to move. And by the way, I'm sorry about the being in the car, but we're on the road. We're somewhere in Arkansas at a rest stop. So
stop by and see me.
I'd love to. So anyway, I'm looking for a house. I got this phone call and this guy says, hey, I'm going to be at this particular house. I want you want to look at it 7:00 tomorrow. Would you like to come and see it? And I said, absolutely. And he says, okay, my name is this. And I was like, wait a second. And I didn't say anything to him, but I thought, oh my word, I know who this is. So for those of you who watched my Tuesday talk, it was my brother's son who was adopted out at birth. And I was freaking out. I still have some grief things I haven't really dealt completely with. So I was kind of freaking out and I was like, I don't know what to do. Do I say something? Do I not say something? What do I do? So I went to the house and met him and I didn't say anything. I didn't feel good about it. And then he was like, well, you seem like a nice person. I have another house over here if you want to come and look at it. I was like, awesome. So I get behind him and he has a license plate frame that says heart transplant. And I was like, what? So I was like, I have a door in. I can ask the question and I can proceed. So we get to the second house and we start talking. And I said, so are you a heart recipient? He said, no, that's my mom. I said, really? He said, yeah, she had a heart transplant 26 years ago. And I was like, well, how do you remember that? You can't be much older than that. He said, no, I'm 31. And he said, my dad died of cancer when I was really young. And I was like, wow. And so I said, I think I know who you are. And he looked at me and I just turned around and he was like, I said, but I'm not sure I want to tell you where I know. And he said, you have to now. And I was like, oh, Father, please help me. So we get inside the house and I said, now listen, if this triggers you and you don't want to have a conversation with me, I'm perfectly fine with that. And he was like, no, I should be fine. And I said, were you adopted? And he said, yeah. He said, do you know Sherry, which would have been his mom? And I said, no, which isn't true. I did know her, but I was so focused on my brother. And I said, your dad, your biological dad was my brother. And he was like, oh my goodness. And so we kind of walked around the house a little bit more for a second. And he goes, so you're like technically my aunt. And I said, yes. And he's like, can we go to dinner? And I was like, absolutely. So we went and ate dinner together with his mom. He goes, now what we're going to do is we're going to go to dinner, but I'm not going to tell my mom who you are because she loves this stuff. She thinks it's so cool. He's like, what a small world. So to make a long story even longer, we get to dinner and I tell him, you have a half sister. He said, I do. And I said, yes, her name is this. And he said, are you kidding me? And I was like, no, why? And he said, I worked with her and I know her. And I was like, oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. And I just wanted to share because my heart is so full. I was so freaked out and excited, and just y'all just worked it out. And I just wanted to share, and I'm so thankful. And he's like, can I hug you before we leave? I was like, absolutely, you can hug me. So it was just an amazing experience. And when I left, he's like, I'm gonna go home and cry for a really long time. He's like, I just don't know what to do with myself.
This is the restoration of the generations. This is
Yes.
how Abba does this, Misty.
Yes.
He is restoring the generations because now that young man has a family that is praying for him and drawing him into this new covenant with the Holy One. I don't know where he's at, doesn't matter. You are restoring the generations by walking that out. Now, you could have absolutely gone a different way, sister. Mm-hmm. But instead, you chose to speak life. And there you go. Generations being restored. Hallelujah.
Right?
Now, did you get the house?
Gosh. Did you get the house? Did you sign the lease?
I did not sign the lease, but I filled out an application, and he said, I have a little pull. I might be able to put your application to the top.
Okay, guys. A lot of you don't know this backstory. It's been really stressful because you might have heard earlier, Misty's looking for a place to live and what's happening. And her own house she owns is rented out for like on a 3-year lease. So she can't call that in. And the house where she lives in, the lady's selling it, and she sold the house and she had to get out. And it was like, what am I going to do? And it's been really a walk. And it's like the one, I'm sure, Missy, one day you're like, Father, I thank you. You're in control. I know you got something good. And the next day you're like, what am I going to do? In a million years, you could have never dreamed that your landlord is going to be your nephew. That in a million years,
never.
In a million years.
Never.
So good.
He's so good. So good.
Love you.
It's a blessing to watch her out.
Yeah. Oh, so beautiful.
Thanks,
now,
Misty.
look at that. Look what
Thanks
the
for
Holy
letting
One
me
has
share.
done. Look at the Holy One has done.
Yes.
So don't you want to sing now, Charlie? Sing it. Look what the Lord has done.
Yep. Look what the Lord has done. He healed my body. He touched my mind. He saved me just in time. I'm gonna praise his name.
Yep, that's it. That's it exactly. I'll let you do the singing. I'll do the hand motions.
You guys would laugh. It's Gail Heaton's birthday. So if you go on her page, please go tell her happy birthday. She is headed to our weekend away for the weekend, but
nice.
I ran up the hill to go tell her sing happy birthday to her. When I got there, I was so out of breath I couldn't sing. I was like,
you did the Marilyn Monroe version.
Oh, it was something. It was something. Love you guys, everyone out there. We're gonna let you guys go. If you aren't signed up, please go get registered. If you can't find where to register, go to the Rooted Cafe, KAFE.com. Up in the announcements, you should be able to click. If you go to the cafe and you click the little button, I think it says store resources.
It says resources.
Resources, click that, or events and resources, click that. And there's links there. You can sign up. If you need to get the pass because you can't make it, I promise you, there is something special about this event.
Yeah.
And it's free. The pass is not, because it's a whole package we put together for you, but there's something special about this event, and you don't want to miss it. You do not want to miss it. So if you're not scheduled, get signed up. Doors close at 5:00 Eastern Standard Time. We love you guys so much. Thanks, Brenda.
Hey, love you, sis.
Thanks for keeping my pot covered.
Anytime. No problem. As long as you do